Welcome to Awakening to Your Story. I'm heart expert Alicia Hartzell, and today we are going to talk about when bad shit happens. You know, there are so many times in life when we are reminded about the love that it surrounds us, right? Our miraculous nature, our definite and divine truth. There are times when we see the brilliance and the wonder. But then there are times when we are reminded of all the crap. You know, we have painful things that show up at our door, and we have to use them. You know, you can look at it as life is trying to punish you. You can look at it as if life is fighting against you. But the reality is that life is happening for you, not to you. If there's one thing that I could bring to the table of humanity, it's this idea that it's all just neutral information. And it's all designed to help us, not hurt us. So I want to start with some examples of when the bad stuff happens, right? Recently, I was trying to communicate law of attraction with someone, and they were like, oh no, I get it. I get law of attraction. What is in me is what shows up. Like, I completely understand. But then there's stuff that comes into my life, and I know that's not me. I know that that's not, like, my truth. But yet it's still there. Now, we are all creatures that are evolving. So we have our fundamental divine truth that we, if we're conscious, really try to pay attention to, right? This notion that we have everything that we need, that we are divine, that we are love, and that we are ever expanding. These are beautiful principles and truths. But unfortunately, we are human. And we've picked up untruths along the way that limit our capacity. This is just part of the human experience and is part of our evolutionary process. So what we have to do is look at the contradiction between our divine essential truth and the untruths that we've picked up. Now, those untruths sometimes are unconscious. They are so deeply embedded into us that we don't know that we're carrying them. And the reason law of attraction pulls those things to the surface, the reason that bad crap happens, is because it's the universe trying to show you where to do the work, right? Where to get to those hidden untruths so you can pull them up to the surface, shift them out, and create deeper ownership for what is really fundamental in your nature. So we let's get to some examples. We could talk all day about this, but I want to give you some concrete pictures that you can carry with you. Recently, I have had some situations in my living environment that have been really frustrating. There was a flood. Anyway, long story short, there's a whole group of people who are frustrated, me included. It's part of the deal. I was walking around and one of my neighbors came up to me and was expressing their frustration. Now, I am a conscious person who tries to really hear people and not react to the things that are in front of me. And as I am listening to this person's frustration, and as their frustration is escalating, they start to kind of throw themselves against the wall. And this is an adult, but we all have our capacity, and we all show up in the very best way that we can. And as this person is flinging himself up against the wall and yelling and raising his voice, I can feel my blood pressure rising. I can start to feel all the adrenaline, the fight or flight, like get the heck out of here kind of stuff happening. And I kind of end the conversation in as respectful way as possible. I end the conversation and I get out. And as I'm walking away from that experience, I am shaking off the actual details, right? Like the day-to-day kind of workmanship of the conversation. And as I do that and I get things in order, I am still left with this residual like feeling in me, this gross, terrible feeling in me. And I was talking to a friend of mine, and she's like, sometimes you have to just shake off people's stuff. Like, you got to walk away and you recognize what's yours and what isn't. And I believe that too. But law of attraction, if I didn't have something within me that was holding and resonating at that place, he never would have been able to come into my space. And so, because I'm devoted to my consciousness, because I'm devoted to my capacity of heart ever expanding, I had to show up and be brave and say, it is a lot less about that person in front of me, a lot less about the crappy situation that he drew into my life, and say, this is happening for me. And I got to show up. I got to be brave enough to show up and see what my part of that dialogue was, right? And as I look back, I kind of boiled it down, right? You just boil it down as much as you can. And all I could see in this person was his frustration. He literally was throwing himself up against the wall. And as I kind of paid attention to this, I could kind of feel the resonance, right? I could feel where that frustration was within me. I'm an entrepreneur, and I am working really hard to create a sustainable business that's based in my passion and in my purpose. And at that particular time, I wasn't sure what to do, where to go, how to create evolution towards the next step. And I could see myself, if I was really honest, there was a part of me throwing myself up against the wall within my heart, right? I don't know, I'm so frustrated. And I hit it. It had nothing to do with that person that was standing in front of me. Yes, I had to deal with the day-to-day experience. I did. But when I came back to my place of center, I had to go, this is happening for me, not to me. And what I recognized was it was giving me a language and an indicator of where I needed to do my own personal work, where I needed to create healing and truth within myself. And so what I did was looked at that situation and went, okay, if that version of me is so frustrated that I am throwing myself against the walls of my heart, what do I need? I need to be wrapped in love and to know that you can continue. Even though you're frustrated, you know your next step. You have everything that you need to create movement forward. And as I started to create ownership for that, as I started to believe that truth rather than the truth of the frustration, all the mirrors in my life, right? Law of attraction showed me all of those frustrating things around me started to dissipate because I did not hold that place of frustration within myself. Now, I get that it's kind of hard to wrap your head around a little bit, but I want you to understand that there's not one thing, not one crappy, shitty thing that happens in your life that is happening to you. It's all happening for you, trying to help you create ownership for this divine essence of truth that is yours. So I want to go to some questions because I've had some questions about this area, and so I want to actually look at them for a few minutes and kind of talk about it. Right? I have had someone from North Carolina write in and say, how can you say bad stuff is happening for me? There are so many things that are really bad in my life right now, and if you knew all of them, there's no way that you would tell me that they were happening for me. Okay, so I'm going to get really honest with you. I understand that there is tragedy that happens, that there are things that if you really were to sit down and look at them, they would break your heart open. And I know this because I've experienced it. I've experienced abuse, and I've experienced physical and emotional pain, and I am here to tell you on the other side of those things, if you can get to a place where you're not just surviving the experience, because there are times when you have to just survive the experience and get yourself to safety. That is the first and foremost thing to do. As you turn around and look back, you will see that that is volume trying to get you to come home to your fundamental truth. You are a brilliant and beautiful creature. And anything that is teaching you otherwise, anything in your life that has taught you otherwise, is teaching you an untruth, and you're adopting an untruth. Now, I want you to keep in mind that there are three things I want you to keep in mind. One is that it is all just information. Yes, even the tragedy. If you can get yourself to a place where you're neutral, where you're not surviving, and you can go back and start to process, you will see that it's all just information trying to help you. The second thing I want you to remember is that you are miraculous. No matter what comes into your life, no matter how tragic or how painful, that thing cannot take away that which you are. No matter what shows up, no matter what happens, it cannot take away your miraculous nature. It cannot take away the fact that you are a divine creature. It cannot take away the fact that you are love incarnate. Yes, it may muddy up the waters. It may bring in volume to help you shift through some of those painful things, but it is not ever going to be able to take away your truth. Life happens for you, not to you. I've said this probably 15 times in the last 12 minutes. Life is happening for you, not to you. Even those tragedies. Sometimes we have to have the tragedy to get us to see where the truth is. Sometimes we have to have the tragedy so that we can have the contrast between one thing and another so that we can do our work and find our purpose. I'm going to ask you to show up when the shitty things happen in your life. Get yourself to a place of neutral and show up and find out what it's there to do. What is it trying to show you? What is it trying to bring to light? Because your truth may be hidden underneath the lies of that experience, right? Just like the guy was frustrated, my frustration was hiding my truth. My internal frustration was hiding my truth. And that person, that shitty situation that came up, I needed that to uncover that hidden untruth. So today, I want you to be brave. I want you to look out into the world. And one, remember it's all information. Two, remember that you are a divine creature and you cannot have anything taken away from you that is truly your truth. And three, it's all there to help serve your higher good. So until next time, remember, you are a brilliant and miraculous creature, and only you can bring your essence of truth and expression of life to the table of humanity. Leave notes and comments, and always feel free to email me at alicia@awakeningtoyourstory.com. And until next time, I'm sending you love. For more support, information, and inspiration, join me at awakeningtoyourstory.com.